For a 90s kid growing up in the US, anime content was limited. For some of us, our only daily dose of anime nutrition was whatever Toonami or Adult Swim had on at the time. This was my first exposure to some classic animes like Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Cowboy Bebop, and the long-forgotten Shuffle Alliance G Gundam. It sounds like you're about to receive 1,000 years of pain with a ghost pepper. Now, besides reading the mangas, there were other ways of feeding that anime addiction, like searching for episode parts on YouTube. But a lot of times you would run into issues like finishing episode 7, part 4 of 16 of Rurouni Kenshin, and then desperately looking for part 5 of 16, only to find it in Spanish dub. But when all else fails, the way I got my demon-hunting, butt-slapping, sensu bean fix was, of course, anime fighting games. Today we'll be looking at a few of my favorite anime fighting games and see if they're still worth playing after all this time. Are these games actually good, or is it just because you're a fan of the anime? Let's get started. Starting with my favorite dog demon with a big-ass sword, Inuyasha, A Feudal Fairy Tale for the PS1. At the time, this was the only Inuyasha game I knew of, but man did it slap to my 11-year-old, still can't read an analog clock mind. Say what you will about the quality of the game now, but back then to a boy who would frequently watch anime music videos or AMVs on YouTube, feels just like I'm falling for the first time. It did. It really did. It felt like falling. Released in the US on April 14th, 2003, Inuyasha, A Feudal Fairy Tale was developed by Dimps, who are probably best known for the Dragon Ball Z Budokai series. This is a simple 2D fighter with a unique objective to collect jewel shards dropped by your opponents to gain a huge boost of energy. The game has 12 playable characters from the series, and you can unlock them all simply by beating the story mode with different fighters. Although the controls are very simple to understand and execute compared to more popular 2D fighter games like Street Fighter, this actually makes it a little more accessible to players who are new to the fighting genre. And by accessible, I mean it's freaking easy. The look of this game is fantastic. I love the sprite work. Each character has a different combat style matching their original series counterparts. As a big fan of Inuyasha growing up, I remember being so excited to see every detail they put into this game. Each stage was taken right out of the anime, like Bone Eater's Well and the 1,000-year-old Sacred Tree. It was a delight to see all the different areas to fight in while enjoying the feudal Japan-esque soundtrack to inspire some demon-style ass-kicking. Admittedly, the game isn't perfect, and to the average person who's not a fan of the anime, it's not going to blow them away. The combat can be repetitive and feel extremely simple at times. The most annoying part has to be when any character performs a special move, you get this quick cutscene of a still image gliding across the screen in front of a blue wall. Literally the same blue wall for everyone. There is a tag team versus mode where you can switch between two fighters, but be prepared to exercise some patience when tagging out, because you'll be waiting a while. But still, there's a lot to enjoy here. The story mode is fully voiced by the original Japanese cast, and each fighter has their own journey through the main game. Just try not to laugh too much about all the odd reasons why some of the characters are fighting each other in the first place. I think if you're a fan of 2D fighting games, this isn't a bad choice. It's not the best fighting game ever, but you can definitely get some fun out of it. And being an Inuyasha fan in general is definitely a plus.
Gundam Battle Assault 2.
Early on, I never really had too much interest in Gundam, but that all changed when I discovered arguably the best Gundam series of all, That's right, I'm talking about G Gundam. Alright, I'm just kidding, but it was my favorite as a kid and still is to this day. Mostly I really liked how much character each mobile suit had in their design, like Dragon Gundam or Master Gundam. G Gundam's mobile suits just stood out to me more than the other series did. Now you can imagine my excitement when I discovered that Gundam Battle Assault 2 had all the main characters from G Gundam that you could play. Get ready to hear the word Gundam a lot. Although this game features 30 playable characters, to me this was my G Gundam game. And right off the bat you get Burning Gundam, Gundam Maxter, Dragon Gundam, and Gundam Rose to choose from. Released in 2002, Gundam Battle Assault 2 was developed by Natsume and published by Bandai. The game features characters from several different Gundam series, so there's something here for any fan. Unlike Inuyasha, a feudal fairy tale, Gundam Battle Assault 2 features a more technical style of combat. Each character has a slew of different techniques and fighting styles. Some will have strength in areas like long range, keep away, close combat, etc. At the start of the match, each fighter will have an ammo gauge of 3 special moves to execute, and that's it for the entire match. So you definitely want to be strategic when you use them. This game doesn't feel cheap or broken. You can really get some great matches in once you've gotten good at a particular fighter, and you're up against an opponent with similar skill level. A nice feature is the battle damage that occurs if a fighter gets too low in health. Parts will break off and expose the Gundam's circuits and core skeleton. It really adds to the feeling that these are huge hunks of metal bashing into each other, so of course you're going to see some destruction. The overall aesthetic has that classic PS1 pixelated 3D-ish look that I'm a fan of. The stages and backgrounds are really well designed. You've got cities, space stations, and landscapes all with animations and moving parts in the background. The game features a story mode called Street for whatever reason that'll follow the bare bones journey of whatever character you play as. However, there is something very annoying about the combat of Street mode. Each time a fighter executes a special move, the game pauses while a still image of the pilot appears and shouts the name of the move or a phrase every single time.
Slash, slash, slash! Slash, slash, slash! Slash, slash, slash!
Beyond that, with so many characters to choose from, once you've managed to unlock them, there's definitely a wide variety of mobile suits, but some fighters are so big that they're double the screen size, so it makes the gameplay feel comical at times. Like it's kind of funny when you see Burning Gundam battling the kneecaps of his opponent. Still, I think this game is one of the better 2D Gundam fighting games that I've played. That might be biased because I'm a big G Gundam fan, but I think this game is worth checking out, even if you're just a fan of 2D fighters, or big robots going smash smash bang bang. I think we can agree that Yu Yu Hakusho is one of the GOATs of anime. Well, here's a hot take. This is a good game.
Now, that's what I call anime cereal. Part of a complete breakfast.
Sugoi. Wait, hang on. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But then, why do I like playing it so much? Back in 2004, Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament was pretty much all we had if we wanted to do some spirit detective work ourselves. We didn't get the Super Famicom games in the US, nor did we get the immensely better version of this game called Yu Yu Hakusho Forever, released only in Japan just a year later. If you don't know, this should have been that game. But Dark Tournament looks so cool. It was a 3D fighter of one of the best animes out there. It was fully voiced by the original cast, it focused around everyone's favorite arc in anime, the Dark Tournament. Sorry, Cell Game fans. This looked like such an amazing game. And then we got to play it. Booting up the game, you're greeted by that sick nostalgic theme from the original series. You're scrolling through the menu and watching small clips of the anime play with each option you pass, giving the feeling you may have put in the series DVD in by mistake. You select Dark Tournament hoping it's the main story mode. A clip from the anime begins. Wait, this must be the DVD, you think to yourself. I'm literally watching an episode. Then the battle begins. You're thrusted into battle with Toguro and get your ass handed to you, but don't worry, it's a scripted loss. Next you have about 100 hours of training to do with Genkai, which is always a plus because everyone loves a boring, long tutorial. After that, you quickly move through the story by jumping to key battles from the original series. Except that's a lie because the game has you play this stupid card game. Why? I don't know why the developers thought this was a great idea to break the flow of the tournament-style fighting game with some boring strategy card game. Ah yes, great! I really wanted a break from all that hype action to play some card game. The story mode has about 31 chapters. So basically you start at Togoro's tough love lesson for Yusuke to take this tournament seriously and get stronger. And the game ends with Togoro's defeat in the Dark Tournament. You can play as 25 different characters, all from the same arc of course, with some fighters having different costumes to select, rather than just a palette swap, which is a nice touch. As much as this game includes details from the series which I love, like the voiceovers, the music, and the sounds, the most important thing about any fighting game is definitely lacking here, and that's the actual fighting part. I can't even come up with something clever to say here. The mechanics are just so bad. Trying to learn some of these combos and commands feels like doing a quick math equation in your head, and there's this annoying long pause after every move or combo. It's like your controller needs to cool down just for a sec from executing too many commands. It just can't take it. Your controller's like, hey man, what are you doing? Is this a fighting game or something? Despite all this, the controls, the weird DVD-like menu, the poor design choices, I can't help but like this game, seriously. For whatever reason, I enjoy going back to this game every once in a while. The thing is, I feel like the developers wanted to make this a great game, but just didn't have the time or the ability. A lot of detail went into this from the original series. You can tell that this game was at least made by fans of Yu Yu Hakusho, but it just feels really rushed with a lack of quality. I mean, you can even see the health bars in the screen stadium, for gosh sakes. This could have been a great game. It's all here, but it just fell short in every aspect. I still find it charming though, and it's absolutely because I'm a major Yu Yu Hakusho fan. I played the hell out of this game growing up and loved it despite its obvious flaws, because I enjoyed being in the world of my favorite spirit detective. So is this a good game? Well, maybe to the superfan like myself, but can I recommend this to anyone else? Unfortunately, no. This one is completely a fandom over quality game. The final game we'll look at today is in fact my first ever PS2 game. If you've watched my game room tour, I mentioned how as a kid I traded in about 95% of my NES collection just to get a PS2 and this exact copy of Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I was a die-hard Dragon Ball Z fan growing up. My life and hairstyle revolved around the Saiyan influence. Here's a picture of me on Halloween dressed as Super Saiyan Goku. Or is that a used Q-tip in a life jacket? I honestly can't remember. So basically, this was gonna be the best game I would ever play, no matter what. I remember being greeted by the classic Rock the Dragon opening and seeing my DBZ heroes completely animated in 3D for the very first time. It was amazing. I spent every minute I had playing this game. Right off the bat, I gotta say, the developers of this game really hit the nail on the head with this one. Of course there were some technical flaws and hiccups in the game, but overall, the quality in this was a ton of fun. The story mode has you play through the DBZ series from Raditz appearance all the way through the best arc in anime, the Cell games. Sorry Dark Tournament fans. The cutscenes are completely animated and do a really good job making you feel like you're part of each upcoming battle. Unlike the Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament, where they just took clips of each episode and threw it into the game, making it jarring to go from 2D classic anime to 3D PS2 graphics. The voiceover work is epic as always, and the music is fantastic. This has some of the best battle music in fighting, period. Fighting your opponents to a sick electric guitar shredding in the background is an amazing feeling. But as much as the game got right with the music, the voiceover work, and the action, there are some odd mistakes here too. Like the Kamehameha blast is yellow for some reason. Everyone knows the Kamehameha is blue. In fact, Cell is the only character that has a blue Kamehameha blast for whatever reason. Also, I love how they speed up Gohan's voice when he uses a Kamehameha blast. It's as if the voice actor only had one take to do and didn't say it fast enough, so the developers were just like, we'll speed it up in post. The game has a lot of odd features that you're either gonna love or hate, like this huge swollen version of Perfect Cell in the final battle. I mean, Cell definitely got jacked for this part. Also, I love how Cell keeps his first form voice throughout the match, even when he becomes Perfect Cell. And for some reason, Trunks doesn't use his sword at all. And also, it's a little disturbing when you don't see the character's mouth move at all after winning a battle.
I am strongest!
But perhaps that might be an improvement in some instances.
Now get going!
I've seen it. I understand, Dad. You turn into a Super Saiyan.
The fighting mechanics are simple, but not in a bad way. Instead of modeling off of a Street Fighter-like mechanic where you perform a Hadouken, for example, you hit down forward punch, this game requires you to perform a combination in order to execute even a Kamehameha blast. Weird? Yes. Difficult? No. The gold standard combo is punch, 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 energy. This is your bread and butter combo ending in a super move, and the other techniques vary from there. It's not hard and it's not traditional, but I can't say it's annoying like Dark Tournament. Dragon Ball Z Budokai's fighting feels a lot more natural and fluid. Speaking of special moves, this game has the most epic special move ever. That's right, I'm talking about Hercule's Present for You. His special is actually tricking his opponent by calling a truce and gifting a sneaky Game Boy Advanced bomb, only to sneak off and hit the detonator when your opponent's not looking. I love how the entire stage is left in ruins after this, it's hilarious. He also has a version 2 of this move where the Game Boy Advance bomb falls out of his pocket and explodes, causing him to fly headfirst into his opponent. Amazing. After beating the story mode, you get to play through some what if chapters, which is a nice bonus. It's like this game has free DLC. My favorite being Cell's Nightmare, where he swallows Krillin by mistake and becomes this tiny orange Krillin cell. The game also has a World Tournament mode, which is probably the most replayable part in the game. You're matched up randomly each time, and you also get to see how every other character did in their matches. I remember always being excited to see who will win over the other matches and being surprised at the results, as if it were some actual tournament sport and not a randomly generated selection. I gotta say, even now that I'm definitely more of a Yu Yu Hakusho fan over DBZ, this game is still a lot of fun. Yeah, the combat is different, but unlike Dark Tournament, it feels way more natural and fun. It's not a perfect fighting game, but its core gameplay is fun, and that's what counts. This game has always been a blast, no pun intended, especially when playing with friends. Hell, I remember my mom would often play matches with me, and she never cared about the anime. The game was just fun to us. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this game, even if you're not a Dragon Ball Z fan. So what are your thoughts on these games? Do you agree with me? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to keep me in disbelief. Seriously, I can't believe we're already past 600 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.